Hello, beautiful people. Happy Saturday and happy weekend. So this is your practical application of astrology video, aka my personal story share. So if this is not what you're interested in hearing, then stay tuned. My astrological forecast for next week will be coming out tomorrow. So just hop on my YouTube channel tomorrow and you will find it there. So today, as I speak, we are experiencing the Mars and Sun conjunction, and actually it already had taken place early on this morning. And this is marking a new cycle, and actually for me personally this is happening in conjunction with my Saturn, and I'm having so many activations, it's like crazy. Obviously Uranus still coming closer to my north node, Jupiter coming back to my Sun. I'm gonna have one more conjunction, and there is just so many things. Venus is just about to trine my Jupiter, which is obviously a good thing. Saturn is still trining my Moon, so yeah, there is a lot of stuff happening, and I can only say from my experience, of course, but also being in communication with the people that are in my orbit, this Scorpio season, it's something. It definitely has been intense. Of course, we had started this week with the new moon in Scorpio, and that was in opposition with Uranus. We had the Mars-Uranus opposition exactly 1 week ago on the 11/11, and I know that a lot of things have been brought up to people's conscious mind from the subconscious, especially with regards to unprocessed trauma. I also I'm aware that a lot of people are experiencing losses, whether it's in their individual experience or whether it's by observing and tapping into the collective experience. So this Scorpio season is not for the lighthearted, and I mean just the fact that we are having this Mars-Sun conjunction in Scorpio this time. The last time the conjunction happened in Libra, and funnily enough it was right after the new moon in Libra. I spoke about it in my previous videos. So it was marking a cycle, like a beginning of a cycle that was to do with the relationships after new moon in Libra, but that cycle had ended today. And there is a new cycle that had just begun in the sign of Scorpio, ruled by Pluto, that is squaring the nodes, and the south node is in Libra. So I mean, this is obviously not the astrological forecast, so I don't want to go too deep into this, but we can see how this is playing out. This is all about relationships and about the way how we externalize our power to our external environment and put somebody else on pedestal, or felt that we owe something to someone, and that impacted for many people and in many generations their entire lives. And now this whole experience is coming to the end. It came to the end. It's dissolving. Saturn is in Pisces, and I can once again, because this is my personal share how these topics, these themes have been playing out in my personal experience. And as I shared last week in my personal story share, here in Mexico, I feel really detached from the reality, from the external world, from the external reality. This is something I always felt every single time I come to Puerto Vallarta, because it is on my Pluto line, which makes me to go deep within, like proper Scorpio, because my Pluto is in Scorpio and it is in the 9th house. So I experience a very deep introspection, and naturally I'm a very introverted person, which confuses people because I talk a lot, because I have my Mercury in Aries. So I can talk a lot, but I am a very unsocial person. I'm very introverted, and I talk a lot only when I'm around people that I feel comfortable with. I will not just go and scream on a town square or something. So I've observed myself, and as this is my 4th time in Puerto Vallarta, my 3rd winter, but my 4th visit, every time I come here, I feel even more introverted. That is my normal, my usual. And this time especially, I feel really strange, very, very strange. Of course, with my moon in Cancer, I am always tapped into, what's going on collectively and stuff. But this time especially, I feel very, very tapped into but disconnected at the same time, if this even makes any sense, because I am aware of what energetically what's going on. I don't have all the news, I don't have any details, I don't need to have them, because astrologically I understand exactly what's going on for us collectively, what process we are undergoing at the moment, which is of course reflected in the individual experience as well, wherever and however it needs to be experienced. but I feel very, very disconnected from the external world at the moment by being here. And especially I feel because of where I'm at in my personal journey, in my personal part of my evolution, and what's been coming up for me. And I don't even know how to verbalize it because it all is in a state of incubation. So I don't know what's gonna come out of it. I don't know what's gonna come out of it when it's ready. All I know is that I am going deeper and deeper into cocoon, which I mentioned last time, that's how I feel, that I'm in kind of like a cocoon, that I'm kind of removed from the reality. But it's becoming more and more bizarre the longer I'm here. I've been here just over 2 weeks. Yesterday was 2 weeks since I arrived. The time definitely is flying, I can say that. But I don't know, like I just feel, and I'm sure a lot of people are feeling the same thing, that there's just such a huge transmutation that is happening under the surface, and I just need to withdraw. I was even watching a video of someone I follow. She's a channeler and a healer, and she said that she feels the need to disconnect from social media, and she is going to do so until at least the end of the year. And straight away it was like, oh my God, I feel that that's what I need to be doing. Like I really feel that I really need to fully focus my energy into this, whatever is this process of metamorphosis. And I mean, I'm not even having my Pluto square Pluto just yet. It's actually becoming exact in 2025, but it's coming close enough next year, but it's becoming exact in 2025. I believe it's in March. But I already feel that, and I think it's perhaps because I am on a Pluto line, and now, of course, being in a Scorpio season, with the sun shining on my Saturn today, exactly, and this Sun and Mars conjunction that is starting a new cycle with regards to self-empowerment, with regards to these topics of Capricorn, because Pluto is in a Capricorn, finishing its 15-year transit of Capricorn, helping us to understand these learnings, these lessons that we had the opportunity to tap into for the past 15 years and understand that where did we externalize our power. And yeah, it's happening right on my Saturn, while Neptune is trining my Saturn, and my natal Neptune is in Capricorn, retrograde. They're all retrograde. All my outer planets are retrograde. And I'm like, I really, like, that's what I mean. This video might be so boring and not make any sense to anyone because I cannot verbalize what I'm experiencing at the moment. All I know is that I need to spend more and more time within, like meditate more. I'm becoming even more sensitive to food than probably ever in my life. Even things that I was able to eat like a year ago when I was here, I cannot eat anymore. Straight away, I'm having a physical reaction to that. And like my diet has to, like, it's literally becoming more and more clean, like hardly anything I can eat anymore. And I really feel a lot of like a need for a lot of sleep. Some days I'm going to sleep at 9 o'clock, which, you know, perhaps more of you resonate with. I mean, at the end of the day, Pluto is in my 12th house. But I just feel this pull towards stillness. Like I need to be still, I need to be quiet and connect with this something that is being incubated within me at the moment, whatever that is. And no, it's not a child, but there is some energetical shift, some process of metamorphosis which is happening. And I know this is happening for many of us, if not everyone. And this is happening obviously for the planet as all, Mother Earth. And this is happening for the collective because we know that the way the things have been, that's it. We are at the end of the road. It's a dead end. It's a dead end. The road is not going any further. So during this upcoming, especially, 2-3 years, while the nodes are in Aries and Libra until January 2025, and then until the 2026, summer 2026, by which point we'll have all these big bosses, big planets changing signs. All the outer planets, the Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Saturn, Chiron will be also changing sign, but a little bit later, the same year. So there are so many things happening at the moment, and literally we are coming to the end of it. And it's not going to just happen easily because this is a conditioning of many previous lifetimes, many previous generations. Of course, every time, you know, we incarnate into certain family, we bring that DNA, you know, we born into certain DNA. So there is a blueprint, there is a memory. Also, what I've been talking about previously, and I got it confirmed from channeled messages from other channelers, that we are born with this genetic blueprint and collective blueprint that we are, you know, like it's part of our DNA, because it's all part of the human collective library, and we are born into it, having this within our memory, which is why we get in so we get in the emotion, we having the emotional response we are having to when things are happening in the world, like especially difficult, challenging, traumatic events are taking place. Because and again, I was blown away because I had this confirmed, this which came to me as well, confirmed by a very well respected channeler from messages that I listened from him. And this is something that I already brought through my videos, but you know, I didn't even know where it came from. But I just, like, I'm claircognizant, so I have the gift of knowing. I don't know where it's coming from, it's just coming. And it was this what he also confirmed, saying that well, you know, in some lifetime it was you. That's why we having these very profound responses, emotional responses that are re-traumatizing us over and over again, even though you might be having a completely different experience in this lifetime, living on a completely different end of the world to, you know, this tragedy that's happening somewhere else to someone else. But we all feel it, we all tapping into it, because it's awakening this memory that there was a lifetime when that was you, right? And I feel that right now, especially being in Scorpio season, apart from the fact that so many souls had passed since the day of the dead, and you know, the Los Muertos, and the Day of the Souls. I mean, I don't know what is the correct label for the day, but whatever the month started with, of course, we had the Halloween on the 31st, and then at the beginning of the month we were celebrating the people that passed. And there are so many souls passing, so many souls. And it is a Scorpio season. And I mean, obviously, from the personal and human perspective, from the three-dimensional perspective, it's very hard. It's very hard to accept that, well, there is someone that was part of our reality and that person is not in a physical form anymore. But this is exactly what this Scorpio archetype is teaching us, is the law of impermanence, that nothing in this reality is permanent. Nothing. Everything that once began will once end. Everything that once was birth will once die. And nobody knows, of course, nobody knows when is the time, because the soul decides. The soul decides when is the time. And I know this could be like a triggering topic for, you know, for some people. Like for me, being Pluto Scorpio, I love talking about death, but I know it's not everybody's, you know, like topic, and not everybody's point of view, how I perceive the experience. But the whole point of view is that everybody is going through the process of death and rebirth at the moment, through the process of transmutation. I really feel that most people are experiencing this right now, because of course we are tapping into the collective, and the planet Earth is experiencing this at the moment. And as much as it's happening on a physical realm, it's happening on all the realms, on the energetical, spiritual realms. We all going through this process, because we know that the way the things have been, how we've lived our lives until this point, whether in this incarnation, previous incarnations, our ancestors, all this is accumulating at the moment, because Saturn is in Pisces, Neptune is in Pisces, all of this is a totality of understanding of what that experience was about. And obviously we're going to have a North Node moving into the sign of Pisces in January 2025, which is the evolutionary direction. So this is a preparation for that. And that's why this process had already begun, and we are feeling it, whether it's on the physical realm, where we actually are experiencing a physical experience of death when someone has parted from our physical reality, or whether it's an energetical and spiritual experience where we feel that an aspect of ourselves in this incarnation, in this embodiment, is dying. it's dying because there is a totality of that experience, and now a new experience is going to begin. But if we are in the process of incubation, because it's the in-between stage, right? So that's what I mean. I don't know how to explain this properly, how to really express this energy, but that's where I feel I am at. And this is how I know that a lot of people are at this point as well, because we are all connected, of course. And this is what's been coming up for me. I mean, we had the new moon in Scorpio, which of course happened in conjunction with my Saturn and my South Node in the ninth house. So I really feel the reality, because ninth house for me is the perception of the reality belief system. I really feel that everything is losing meaning. I mean, as people might remember, the new moon in Scorpio happened in conjunction. It was trine. It happened in conjunction with Mars, but it was trine by Neptune in Pisces. And also yesterday, Friday, today is Saturday, right? Yesterday we had the trine between Mars and Neptune and Sun and Neptune. And this is again, and they're both still in Scorpio, of course. They're both going to move into Sagittarius next week. But this is still telling us that in order for us to go into this Scorpio, like sense of empowerment, understanding the law of impermanence and actually finding the strength in that, finding the self-empowerment in that, knowing that nothing is permanent, not the good, not the bad, nothing is permanent. Even this life is not permanent, and this is like what always baffled me, and why I chose to live my life in a very different way to societal expectations. Because most of the time people wait until something really big happens to them, like usually something big, challenging. I mean, somebody dies, somebody gets sick, somebody has an accident or near-death experience or whatever, something big, right? Something Uranian, like bam, something unexpected. And a lot of people wake up at that point. They say like, no, I'm not living my life like this anymore, like people decide, no, I'm gonna start taking care of myself, I'm gonna start doing things I love. Like people completely reevaluate and reprioritize their entire life, after they had an accident or somebody passed, or they they almost died because of sickness or whatever. And this is usually where people completely change their life. Not everyone, but a lot of people that gone through very, very, very challenging, traumatic experiences. That was the turning point in their life. And that's why in all my readings, when people gone through a very challenging situation, my intention is to try to help them understand what was the gift. What was the gift? Yes, there was a loss, but what was the gift at that experience? Because as we know with Scorpio, when something dies, something new is birthed out of that process. It's a phoenix rising. So what was that gift that actually led to you being stronger, being more who you are, being like more resilient or fearless, towards some other experience than later on down the line, whatever it is. And what I was trying to say with all this, going in these rabbit holes, is that why wait? Why wait that long? And this is what I feel collectively, this is what's happening. We're going through all these traumatic experiences, which of course they're also happening because the trauma of the past, whether it's your own, of this lifetime, early on in the lifetime, whether it's the previous lifetime, whether it's the ancestor trauma, whether it's the collective trauma, all of it right now is going through this process of being brought to the surface of our consciousness through this Uranus opposition that just happened, and it's still active. And also this Mars, Mars is how Pluto acts consciously, and there was this opposition. So it very likely in the past week you might have experienced a lot of situations that brought a lot of unhealed trauma, or there might have been a new experience that re-traumatized you, that brought a lot of, unhealed trauma, whatever it is, whether it was subtle or something really tangible. But I'm sure that in many people's, experience of the past week and all these scorpionic topics we had going on, there was potentially something that brought stuff from the subconscious to conscious for us to be able to look at, heal, and integrate, so we can let it go, so it doesn't affect us, it doesn't control us going forward. So why I'm talking about this is that why wait? Why wait until this point in our collective evolution where, we're going through this collective trauma, right? Like, imagine like somebody having an accident. Well, now collectively we're having this experience, and now we're going to reevaluate and then change. And this is why this is happening. This is what I'm trying to help people understand. And it's no way demeaning that there are horrible things happening and people are suffering and there are a lot of people losing loved ones. And I'm in no way saying this is not happening or it's okay or, just don't worry about it or anything. In no way. But I'm just trying to help people understand why is this happening. Apart from the fact that, of course, collectively we got to the point in our evolution where we need to, like upgrade in a sense, but not necessarily upgrade in a way that people think like, oh yeah, we just need to, I don't know, learn some new technique when it comes to our technology or whatever. No, we need to go beyond where we've been, and we've already been here. We already been where we are at now, where it's like, yeah, technologically and intellectually we are evolved, right? Like we are much smarter than our ancestors were, and our technology allows us to do things that our ancestors could only dream about, right? They didn't have the options we have now. But spiritually, we need to match our spiritual growth, our spiritual awakening to this mind and intellect and all this technological progress, because otherwise we're going to self-destruct, right? Just like Atlantis and all these previous civilization, all the ones that are indestructible, like Rome, right? Like, oh, there was like Rome was like what, like owned, like ruled like half of the world or whatever it was at the time. I mean, don't quote me on that, obviously I'm not a history professor and stuff, but Egypt, Greece, Rome, all these different civilizations that were so powerful, and what's left of them? Some ruins, right? Because that's Saturn. That the only thing that's left is the bones, is that structure that made it so stable and solid at some point, and then at some point it's just dissolved and it's all taken away with the time, right? Old Saturn. So what I'm trying to say again, going back to the same point, is that when we don't match our spiritual awakening to the intellectual and technological one, which at the moment we are on that precipice. We are on that precipice as a human collective. We are on that precipice where we need to make a choice. And of course, as I keep mentioning all the time, you are the creator of your reality. You choose your timeline. Not everyone is experiencing the same experience, even though collectively we are all tapped into the same thing, right? Because we are human collective, but your individual experience is unique to you because you are creating it. So going back to that analogy with regards to the sudden, unexpected shock, like accident, near-death experience, whatever it is, that in most cases, or sickness, which in most cases completely changes people's life. It completely transmutes their life. They become someone completely different most of the time afterwards. And this is where we at as a human collective, because, like the Rumi quote, the wound is when the light enters you. And also, as we can, like obviously remember, whether it's on an energetical level or from, books, which obviously how much of that is true is questionable. However, every time there was something very, tragic happening collectively, like the Great Wars, right? It brought the compassion out of people. It made them to reevaluate everything in their life. Like suddenly people, cared about things that really matter, like each other and supporting each other and all that. Say she, the introvert, right? But I mean, like, I'm just saying what comes to me. And that's why we are experiencing globally what we're experiencing. Apart from the fact that the story of the past it needs to be transmuted, because we keep repeating. And I mean, again, it doesn't mean that everything is exactly the same, like there's nothing new under the sun, but the way it's happening right now is unique to right now. It's not like exactly the same as it happened previously, because obviously things have changed, planets have moved, we've grown, evolved, the consciousness of the human collective shifted. So it is nothing new under the sun, but under the new lens, right? Because this is right now. This is the right now, what we're experiencing right now. But we need to create a new outcome of the situation to prevent us to coming back to this point in history, which we already experienced, even though the details were different, right? But the energetic imprint was very similar. So that's why collectively now all this stuff is happening. And I know for a lot of people it is very, very challenging, especially people who are very empathetic and tune into the everything, especially people with strong Pisces. It is very challenging because we feel everything, and it's very hard to just disconnect and just go like, oh well, and it could be very tempting to just like either escape or like detach, like like hear me, like in a sense. But I'm not doing this like, yeah, I chosen to come to Mexico, but Mexico is on my Pluto line, so it's not an easy ride, even though, like, yes, there are palm trees and sunshines, but it's never an easy ride. And I can already feel it. I can already feel that, oof, there are big things coming while I'm here. I know they are. I don't know exactly what's gonna be happening, but there are big things coming while I'll be here. But in essence, this is all to help us understand, to help us understand on a deeper level what really matters and what is the story that we don't wish to repeat. Therefore, we need to create a new one. And this is why these things are happening, because there is meaning in everything. There is a teaching in everything, even though it might not make sense on a human level, because, like it's different to have all these sensory experiences and being in a physical body than it is to, plan these things when we are in a spirit form, like, oh yeah, I want to experience this and this and this, when I come and be a human, right? And then we hear and like, what the hell? This is hard. Why would I choose this, right? I didn't choose this. I would be crazy to choose that. But on certain level, we had chosen that because we are co-creating that. We created that. We brought it into our reality. We attracted that. And the moment we actually acknowledge that, yes, I have a participation in this experience, right? Then that is the turning point, because that will then give us an agency and an option to change it, an opportunity to change it. Just like these people that, for example, were ill and then they recover and then they actually understand that, okay, well, if I want to have a different life, I need to change things, and it's up to me, and this is literally what's going on right now. So for me personally, like I said, I've been even more introverted than is usual for me. I just want to be on my own most of the time, like literally all the time. I'm becoming extremely sensitive to food, extremely sensitive to sound, and yeah, I just really just want to be able to connect to myself and like really just give my energy to this thing that is currently incubating within me, whatever it is and whatever it's going to look like and come up looking like whatever. But I can imagine that this might be also the process for a lot of people, and whether they are drawn into this process by and I mean, there is a fine line. There is a fine line between spiritual bypass and like escapism and putting head in a sound and pretending no, it's not happening. And there is and in my awareness anyway, this is just my perception of reality. And then there is a difference to me from my point of view, then when we actually, because of what's happening, we choose that, okay, there is something that needs to change, and it's not going to change externally. It's going to come from inside out, not the other way around. We're going to change the external by changing the internal. So for me, this is a complete difference. Like when we go into these states, when we just want to escape and not want to deal with the reality, which again, there is no right and wrong, because, you experiencing what you're experiencing, and maybe it's not the right time. And I don't even know, like, what I'm exactly experiencing right now, because I'm in it, so I can't see it from the higher perspective of like, oh, okay, now it makes sense. Because with all these experiences with the external planet, it takes time. Just like I was saying before, Pluto's transits, they are the most impactful. They change the whole generation, the whole world, the whole collective, but they take time. Like Pluto's gonna be in Aquarius for 20 years. In 20 years' time, this world's going to be a very different place, but we have no idea what it's going to be now, or next year, or in 2 years, we have no idea. But, in 10 years, maybe we'll get better idea. In 15 years, for sure, we'll have a better idea. In 20 years, we will understand. And it's the same with all these outer planets, even though they take a little bit less time, of course. But all in all, it's a long time. It's like, 8 years for Uranus, right? So, I mean... it takes time. And for me personally, just like I said many times in this video already, I don't know what's on the other side of it. I just know that there is a process that's undergoing, that is happening inside me, which is out of my control, which needs me to slow down and withdraw my energy from the spaces and places and people that I've been investing energy in before. And it's interesting actually to observe that my parents are giving me space, which is very I always keep talking about my parents because obviously unhealed trauma there. But when I was in Slovakia, or even when I was in Bulgaria, we spoke like once a week. But when I was in England, they were getting triggered when I wasn't in touch and stuff, because obviously they got used to me staying with them for 2 months. But here, they don't freak out. They like, I never hear from them. They don't guilt trip me about, me not messaging them. So there is something on an energetical level, even though rationally they might not understand, but there is something which their higher selves understand, why I'm here and why I'm doing what I'm doing, because of course I am the black sheep of the family, the pattern shifter, and that which I will, whatever, shift in our bloodline will be impacting everyone, including them. So there is something which there must be an understanding, which is why for whatever reason they act differently this time, and that is allowing me to withdraw this energy, which again I want to go in my rabbit holes and going always in the different directions. It makes so much sense to me now why everything that took place while I was in Europe had to take place. Like first the busyness, which then helped me to understand my boundaries. Like, okay, I cannot do 2-3 clients every day, 7 days a week for 2 months. It's not possible. I'm not going to be able to keep up that kind of tempo and keep my social media alive. It's just not possible. And then, of course, making further adjustments when I was in Slovakia due to environment, where I had to, cut out all these things from my schedule, like watching all these people on YouTube and doing all these, things that, took time but weren't really necessary. So I had to get it down to minimum, like, okay, what is really a value, what really, deserves my time right now. And now, because I am not there or anywhere, I'm here having a different experience. This extra time, which are vacated at that time, has become available to me to use in different way. And that's why I feel that everything was literally leading me personally, in my experience, to this point of landing back here on my Pluto line in this process of transmutation, preparing for my actual Pluto square Pluto, which is coming up in the spring 2025, as I mentioned, but already will be felt next year because Pluto will be only 1 degree off. And and there is something definitely happening. There is something happening, and I know this is what's happening for most people in the world, especially people who are sensitives and people who are, awakening. There is a process of transmutation when things are being taken away from us, whatever it is or whoever it is, because we need to focus on this inward process. And again, there could be a temptation to just escape, which from some people's point of view, that's what might be what I'm doing. I don't feel that's what I'm doing. I answered the call. Yes, I escaped winter. I own up to that because I don't like cold. Why I don't like cold, I can't tell you. Maybe I've frozen to death in some of my previous lifetimes, but I really don't like cold. And and now obviously being here on the Pluto line is making me to respond to my environment in a way which I'm responding, which is not normal even for how it normally takes place. So my response to my environment at the moment is definitely more extreme than it was previously. Like I said, with the food sensitivities, the noise sensitivities is definitely getting worse. Like it was already quite bad. The older I'm getting, the more I'm getting sensitive to noise, and that's why I'm seeking quiet places. Which unfortunately Puerto Vallarta is becoming very busy. It wasn't like that 3 years ago when I was here first time, and I'm sure for people who've been coming here for many, many more years, it was very different before as well. But yeah, so that's what I was trying to say, that there is definitely a change taking place, and I don't know what's on the other side of it, but I know it's necessary. And I feel that perhaps because I'm surrendering to that process, it maybe won't be that painful. I don't know. Obviously, I have no way of knowing. I don't know, like there could be things happening in my life, in my environment, with my people at any point in any time, just like it is for everyone, like things can just happen suddenly and unexpectedly, and, they're out of our control. Like when it comes to other people, we can't control what other people and their soul decided for them on their path. But I feel everything that's going on right now, which in many cases is challenging because Scorpio season makes us really dig deep in a closet, really look at the shadows, and it's happening because of this process of transmutation that's happening collectively on the planet, in the universe. Everything is changing and shifting because it's time. It's time. The time has come to actually understand that there is no way forward going the way we were. The way we were going, there is dead end. Just like it was for Atlantis, just like it was for Lemuria, just like it was for Egypt, just like it was for Rome and for Greece, you know, when all these places ruled the world and stuff, and it all came to the end. It all came to the end, and now we go and visit the ruins and so, oh, interesting, this used to be the, you know, the ruling force, Persia and stuff, whatever, like in the world, and now it's not. Because at the end of the day, during the age of Aquarius, there will not be this pyramid system of someone being on the top there, you know, ruling the world from that one place and saying like, hey, you are my slaves, you do as I say, right? There is no such a thing, okay? In the age of Aquarius is two parallel lines. So in order for us to get there to the point of seeing ourselves equal, we have to purge all these stories and these attachments to the past. Many cases, not even your own, could be ancestral, collective, like collective ultimately. We need to purge all that to find ourselves at a clean slate, to actually decide that yes, we are equal, yes, we are co-creating this reality, and step into our power by taking responsibility, because, you know, that's where the power lies. But it's also the responsibility not to misuse that power to hurt others. And this takes an alchemy, it takes a deep self-mastery, it takes a deep process of metamorphosis through through which we have to experience a lot of things, because this is all a school of life and it's a hero journey. And I can already feel that there is something huge coming for me as well. Like, I mean, every time I come to Puerto Vallarta and then I leave, my life has completely shifted on its axis, and it's usually not an easy experience, but it completely changes my life. It completely like pushes me in a completely different direction. And the life after is very different from the life before. And I mean, I only been here 2 weeks, but I can really feel this withdrawal of my energy from these external things, where my energy was being leaking and used for things that are actually not serving me anymore, and needing to focus that energy internally. And wherever that is gonna lead, I don't know. I'm obviously going to keep people posted, you know, if you're still listening. But I really feel there is something like that taking place. Perhaps when we enter Sagittarius season, maybe things will shift, because of course Mercury is already in Sagittarius, Sun is going to move there on the 22nd, 2211, so another master number frequency, and then Mars on the 24th. So the energy will start shifting again. Venus is still in a sign of Libra. She will move into Scorpio, I believe, beginning of next month. So there is all these things that are continuously shifting and changing, keeping us on our toes and making us to reevaluate everything, to go over everything. Of course, Mercury will be preparing for its next retrograde in Capricorn. So that's gonna be fun, because during Mercury retrograde, my brain doesn't do very well. Even if it's in Capricorn, that's even, you know, that's my 12th house, so that's even worse. I'm gonna be in a la la land. So perhaps that would be a good time for me to take a break from social media, just like this girl yesterday was saying, that, you know, need to focus inside, you know, need to focus on my own process. And definitely social media, as much as it's a beautiful tool to help us connect and stuff, it could be very destructive as well. I mean, everything has got polarity in this incarnation. It depends how you use it and how you perceive it, right? Like even internet, it allowed for this huge expansion and massive awakening because of the fast information flow and information share, but we can see how else it can be used, right? So it all depends on how things are being perceived. I just got a notification on my flow, so it took me out of my flow of thoughts. But there is nothing really else to add. Like I said, I'm deep in a process which I can't fully articulate at the moment, and I can't fully explain, but I understand why it's happening, And this is all preparation for my own Pluto and Neptune square Neptune, which, as I mentioned, is coming very, very soon. And being on a Pluto line, everything is brought forward. And Pluto actually here is in my first house. So first house of new beginnings. So yeah, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, today we are having the Mars-Sun conjunction in the sign of Scorpio, in conjunction with my natal Saturn. Still within a degree opposition of Uranus. So there could be still these unexpected occurrences taking place, which hopefully is going to dissipate once all these planets move out of Scorpio, but then we'll have Venus there next month. So let's see. But all in all, when we actually, again, not spiritually bypass and suppress our emotions, because our emotions are valid and they are messengers and they're helping us to understand and process something, to transmute something. But when we are able to also look at it from the other perspective, from the higher perspective, and understand why these things are happening, and even though at the moment we might not understand why, but we might, just like have the peace within acknowledging that there must be a deeper meaning, there must be a deeper purpose, and we will understand as the pattern will unreveal itself. Just like I said, with the new moon, full moon, it takes time. Just like with the outer planets, it takes time while they transit throughout the sign. Until it gets to the end of it, we don't fully know, we don't fully understand. So now, obviously, Mars-Sun conjunction, the cycle started in a sign of Libra. We understand because we have in South Node in Libra. We have in the eclipse, we had the solar eclipse was in Libra in October 14th. So we understand the way things were, the way we related to one another until this point. It's not taking us any further. Even with regards to romantic relationships, so many people are wanting change, whatever that means to them. But there are a lot of relationships, romantic relationships, going through transmutations as well, right? Or people just like choosing to be single because they want to find themselves. It's the path of self-discovery, the path of Aries. It's like, I need to find me first, so then we can create conscious relationships, balanced relationships, where when I know who I am and what I'm dealing with, what is still my unprocessed wounding and my trauma, I'm not going to project it onto you. Or if I do, I'm going to catch myself and say, okay, this is something I'm still working on. Like, be mindful of, I want you to be aware, or whatever it is, like just to have a completely different way of interacting with one another and having a deeper understanding of like, okay, well, there is a wounding, there is a trauma, there is a healing that needs to take place. But again, not everything is acceptable, and that's the message of Saturn, of Capricorn. We need to be able to put the boundaries, so then we feel safer to open our heart, right? Because when there is a boundary and we know where is the limit, then we know how far we can extend ourselves, how far we can go until the boundary gets crossed. So anyway, so that's then going into a completely different direction. But I feel everything is relevant at the moment. Of course, Saturn being direct again in the sign of Pisces, going over the same territory, making us to redefine what lost meaning, what has meaning, what is ending, what is no longer supporting us, what doesn't make us feel safe, where did we externalize our authority or gave our agency away, and how are we going to reclaim it? And it all starts with each one of us individually. And that's still Scorpio season. It's still, it's ending, but it is still present at the time of me recording this. It's a deep internal process, and that's why I feel for a lot of us, through whatever experiences we are experiencing, whether they are tangible or intangible, we are being forced to go within and to give ourselves the time and withdraw the energy from things that lost meaning and put it back inside, so we can actually allow for this process of metamorphosis to take place, because one way or another it's going to take place, right? Like with the Pluto moving into the sign of Aquarius, everything is going to become accelerated, and Aquarius is all about this individuation. Of course, it's got a negative, challenging aspects to it, just like everything does. But I personally always try to focus on what you can do, you know, not what you can't or what is going to prevent you from doing something. That's why, like I mentioned many times, I moved away from traditional astrology because it's very polarizing. Like this, none of this is meant to be fear mongering and make people feel afraid or scared, but rather make them feel empowered, because the power of creation of reality lies within you. You are the creator. Therefore, you know, you can create whatever you want. But of course, for us to create consciously, we need to know what are the subconscious patterns that are connected to previous traumas, past lives, ancestor trauma, collective trauma, and make them conscious so we can understand what's going on and why. And this is why these things are being made conscious at the moment, whether it's in your individual or collective experience. And then we have the opportunity to transmute them because we know what we're working with. So anyway, I think I'm gonna close it at this, leave it at this, because I don't, like, again, I don't know whether anything that I shared makes any sense. But this is what I'm going through. My life is very undefined at the moment, very nebulous, very confusing, very intangible in a sense, and it's just a process of following my intuition, giving myself the time, giving myself rest, taking less on my plate, and potentially wanting to take break, which I feel is going to be coming in December. I'll probably will have to take a break to fully be able to give this time that it deserves. But anyway, guys, I wish you all a beautiful weekend. As I said, the Sun, well, the planet Sun and Mars are moving into the sign of Sagittarius next week, so hopefully the energy will shift, but let's see. And yeah, I hope you all doing well. Once again, I wish you all a beautiful weekend, and I'll speak to you again next week. Bye.